Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, and welcome to Monday Nurse's Life. This is your this Coach Sharon coming to you straight from Power in Nursing Innovations. Welcome to another fabulous Monday here in the sunny state of Maryland. Yeah, I was just outside. I was almost melting. But I'm back. I'm here. So let's get on started. Today, of course, we are talking about nursing. But, we are finding ourselves more talking about other people as well. So it'll be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And today we are talking on the subject of the empowered woman, leader in crisis. Hmm, what do you think about that? What does that bring to your mind? Because I want to continue to celebrate you all, but also challenge each one of you who leads or is considering leading, whether you are in scrubs or in heels, but at the head of the boardroom or at the bedside. Either way, or and even more, you can be a work from home mom or just a mom. It's just who you are. So today we are speaking for and to and about the empowered woman. Now, you may have been able to quietly recognize the change in my profile, in my bio, and I'm speaking to believe that I can make a change in lives for others. And for women, it seems that, nursing is full stock, full of women. Now, remember that nursing started, so way back in the 1700s or so, and men were the persons on the field carrying off the wounded or injured or dead uh, persons who were fighting the war. And that is how it all started. As it came to pass, there was more time when women who actually, well, we have a purpose and we also have a menu, women were encouraged to go ahead and step out and help the men on the fields. So that was how nursing started. But as it became realized that, well, women could do those things, but they really can't pick up the dead soldiers, such and such and such. Men kind of still did a lot of the heavy lifting. So women kind of drifted back. Some of them actually really started the forum of a hospital. If you go back and do your homework, you'll find that. But remember, things have always changed over the course of time. And whether you are a woman today or a woman of yesterday, you will most always find some significant challenges. So, were women empowered back in 1700? Were women doing what they wanted to do and getting paid for it? Oh, absolutely not. So some of you know that. So as we're talking about the women of today, the world, we know there are challenges and changes and a crisis looming each and every day. Whether it's a global pandemic like we've seen COVID, or economic uncertainty, families being torn apart, or even professional burnout, which doesn't just occur for nurses. crisis is not often a difference. We're expecting to see some fast action, and most often we're thinking about negative when we're saying crisis, but we're always looking in the background to find out, wait a minute, is that something really happening, or is that something brewing? And women, we are not just surviving, we are leading. And your example for your consideration is COVID. You know what challenges were faced by the community and the world. So it is really true that even prior to COVID, women were using their skills in order to maintain their homes, and not just that, but of course it was something that we were good at after generations of women taking care of the home. So what happened when there is a crisis? When there was a crisis, COVID was a crisis. Did the men stay home and take care of the children? Oh, really, probably most often not. But a woman often leads in crisis. The women were taking care of the home, and the men were doing whatever they do, working, I don't know, playing golf, I don't know. But anyway, speaking of a woman, we just don't do our life just by title, not by just education, and not by credentials. It is the presence of a woman in the single space of the home that even encourages everyone to think, well, that's a lady. She works from home. We don't need to know what else she knows or what else she does. But her presence looms in the home as something that is a solution. The woman will manage all of those things. But remember, being just present is really not a solution to anything. If you're just standing and breathing, that's not the answer. So, presence doesn't mean that you are able to solve the problems. Excuse me. And presence does not mean that women or any one woman is perfectly perfect and knows how to do everything in the home and never should step a foot out of the home. Just stay in the home and be perfectly perfect. Well, that's not what it means, and that's not often what we do. So our presence means showing up. The woman's presence, whether it's hard work or it's confusing or when no one else is available or ready. Women take the stand when things are needed, and especially as relates to her family. So in the workplace, there are so many women who are nurses. Doesn't mean there aren't men, but women often have other responsibilities than to work in the workplace. So I will share my own experience as yes, I am a woman and I had a family while I still worked in the hospital. And you all know those stories because I've seen nurses saving. And I'll tell you a story in just a moment as I think about just a more extraordinary experience that I will share with you. Because in the interim, I have seen nurses, yes, running codes with steady hands, and we know what to do. We know what to do. By the time the doctor gets there, we have all the supplies, all the people we need. The IV is started. We have the documentation for the order, for the care for the patient who's coding, da 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 da. And at home, we've seen mothers just grieving and explaining why they're crying in the times of COVID. How could you explain to a 4-year-old what COVID is and what it means and why it's making you cry? Mom, why? Because it's hard to hold that back. You don't want to have your children crying in the midst of you knowing you're the only one in the home that can save your husband or your auntie who's just come to visit you. Presence is power. You are not just born to breathe, and that we women know. Women bring grace and peace. It is the way that we do the things that we do. And for me, I have once long ago was working in the neonatal intensive care, which was my gift and my pleasure, even though the babies were sick. They were sick, and I had an experience, a baby that I was taking care of on a night shift, and the baby's father was visiting, and we were doing the things we do, giving your IV meds, turning the baby, suctioning, all that in your intensive care unit. Those are the things you do. And I heard a boom, and I thought, what is that? It's not in this room. Well, I peeked my head out of the suite where the children for that evening were housed. The babies were housed in a certain area. And I saw my baby's father attached to the window in the parent waiting room. He had tried to jump out of the window. He was so upset that his baby was so sick and he didn't know what to do. And it is a time for rallying together because women in that suite, I did not have to say a single word. The charge nurse was there before I could even call her name. But 2 other ladies were attending to my little baby's dad. Because this was crisis. We did not have time to wait for someone to draw out a plan and wait for the doctor to come to read the plan and then make a decision on what we should do. That is the woman that serves during the crisis. We don't wait, we move. Action is absolutely necessary. We can't wait because we must show up and lead. During a personal crisis of our own, but a professional crisis, like a parent trying to jump out of a window. Which of you have ever thought that would ever happen to you at any time in your work and your profession as a nurse? I will tell you, I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that. And I want to tell you that that was one of our very sickest babies. And we didn't have a good outcome for the baby. Several months that he spent in the intensive care. But the bigger challenge and connection was with the parents of the baby. The mom was still in the hospital where she had delivered the baby. And here is the dad in the neonatal care. He's just a regular guy. He did he did what I'm sorry. He had enlisted in the army, and then his wife had the baby before he could even get that part of his life settled. And he was broken, broken. He didn't know what to do about the baby. He didn't know what to do about the mom. And it is our time not to ask 1,000 questions about why he tried to jump out of the window, why he was so torn apart. It is the presence as well. The presence. The presence is your physical presence, but it's also your mental, spiritual presence. You need to be available for those persons that need your care. You can't change what's going through their hearts and through their minds, but you can be available to hold them, comfort them, encourage them, and ask what you can do, who you can call. Is there another one of your relatives out here in the waiting room? Can I get them for you? Presence. Presence is power, and women bring it with grace. We don't run for the hills, especially in that type of circumstance. We know that parents don't have the greatest understanding of what's going on with their baby. They're expecting to have a baby and take the baby home by the third day, right? Everything's going to be fine and everything's going to be great. But now it isn't. So what can we do? We lead those spaces of the hospitals, whether it's in intensive care setting for neonates, who are the first born young babies, and older children or adults who are in the ICU. They have families and they have friends who are concerned about them. And we must care. We must care for the children and for their families. And women know how to lead with empathy. You all know what that's about. And we use our brain power because we know fairly what the outcome may be for this little baby. And it's not the time to pick up your, phone and look up the diagnosis for a premature infant 23 weeks. You're not going to do that. But women leaders are different in what they bring. We can come sometimes and see our own babies in our mind. And it is heartbreaking sometimes for us, but we know that the parents of the patient need us to keep them stable at least and not looking to commit a tragic act. We can't let that happen. And research and real life tells you that women kind of sift through the uncertainty to help patients, if they're older persons, and families bridge the gap between what they know and what they don't know. They will look at you for help. And there is never a time where you shall say, I don't know. These people need you to help them overcome this massive stressor that they've never ever dreamed of and never heard of. Empathy is the ability to tune in to others. Emotional stress is very, very difficult, and we don't have a magic wand. We don't have a magic wand to fix that. And so compassion takes way at that time. You help them hold on, hold it together, and let them know that you are there to help them in these times of trouble. And my own experience is, even though the parents never saw you ever in their lives, at that time you will be their best friend and comforter. And it is not what we expect when we are employed at the hospital, or even well back when you signed up. Yes, you applied to be a registered nurse or a nurse in a hospital setting. You never thought, well, I'm going to sign up to be a nurse because I want to, help broken parents. Because we never will expect that that will be our day. More than once, more than once, more than once. And it is something that stresses you on your own. It is a time to help the rest of the unit or the parents and their family members to stabilize. Help them lower the stress and help them trust you. I have had so many patients that I know I tell the story often of my one sweet little baby whose mom I took care of 25 years ago. 25 years ago. And my little baby friend, the sweetest thing ever, he was premature. And he was my cause every day because I was his primary nurse. So every shift that I worked, I cared for my little baby. But it took several months, about 3 months he stayed in the hospital. And his mom talked to me every day that she came to that hospital and I was there. But unfortunately, he didn't make it. But this is what I will tell you. That mother calls me every year on my birthday. And I'm feeling like I'm swelling up now because I love her so much. And I developed that kind of connection. Now, we couldn't save each other from crying and being a little, or even more than a little, anxious when he passed away. But we love each other for the gift of connection that we developed and shared. And it's not because I need to be strong because I'm a nurse. We need to help the parents and the family members at least make it a time when they can understand that things haven't gone the way that they would like, nor the way that they expect, and neither have you. So it's because we need to help them, and that is what we do. We do not want parents falling on the floor. We don't want them to be unsafe in any way. we have got to help them. And holding their hands or giving them a hug or getting them a glass of water is not weakness. It is wisdom. You know that you must be available for the parent who needs you. And so these are the things that we do out of our hearts. Now, I will not tell you that I can think like a man thinks, but I can tell you that I am honest about what I think. And let's be clear. Remember that as many of us look at a hospital, it is an organization, it is a business. And can you tell me that you have determined that the business of nursing is only for women? Because that's not true. And by now, you probably can say, oh, yeah, I remember. I remember now that there's some guys in nursing, as in Guys, not hidden. But remember that even still, as many nurses are women, we are also leaders. Remember, we led that unfortunate incident called Code Blue. We do the things that must be done. And as leaders, we really carry invisible weights. WEIGHTS. And especially in those times of code, or especially when there's a customer who's been on your unit for several weeks or several months and something goes wrong with that patient, we're here to what you might call lean in. You have got to know what's going on. And as we do, as we call our nursing care plan, and that might have been a statement from days of old, but it's the plan. What shall we do when there's a code blue on our unit? We don't sit there and think, well, I'm going to have to leave that to the guys. We lean in and we get it done. As we have struggled through many years, since the days of Florence Nightingale, to take over the roles that require direct attention right now, ASAP. If the Army needs all of the guys, GUYS, how are the patients going to be cared for? Who's going to make the plan? And who's going to implement the strategies, or the actions, we may call it, to keep things going? Because in the world that is now much often led by nursing, in the healthcare settings where strategies and programs and plans are implemented, we still are facing struggle. Even today, as men are taking more leads in nursing, the women are facing certain assumptions. Have you ever thought, as a nurse on your unit, that, oh my, we only have women on this unit? Oh, no? Oh, there's a new guy coming? Yeah, I saw him in the cafeteria walking around with the CNO. Oh, really? Well, I know we were short and getting a new manager, Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, your friend is saying to you, well, but I applied for that job. And you know what? I keep hearing this same thing. And what the young person is speaking about is the assumptions that people face about nurses because many nurses are women. And truly, I believe that many of the times that women aren't chosen for a leadership role is because people, maybe it's the CEO of the organization or just another step up from the bedside, you might find that we hear these words. Oh, well, we were thinking we are not going to hire her because women are too emotional. No one said. Now, no one said that the woman was not prepared, but she's too emotional. She won't be able to handle the pressure. How many of you, ladies and gentlemen, have found you don't have any pressure outside of, nothing because you've handled everything because you're a guy. So what? The women get to handle the pressure at home about your kids getting into a fight or having a showdown with the teacher? Is that pressure? The women have to handle, and so we have. So why can we not lead in the fight for best care and service for the patients and for the community? We know how to handle a battle, and that battle can be outside of the home. We do not take with kindness someone sharing their perception of a nurse as fragile. Fragile. Well, if you ever hear my pleasantries and speeches that I give, you will often hear me say to my colleagues, and don't forget that you are brilliant. Brilliant matters, and the ways that we enter the profession of nursing will test you for your excellence and your brilliance. Practice comes with completing those two steps through practice. But yes, that is practice as in doing it 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 times, or becoming excellent in a specialty area. So we don't take well to someone not acknowledging our excellence and brilliance. It comes through education and practice. So we continue, ladies and gentlemen, to fight the battle of being seen as incompetent, the battle of being seen as, oh, that's a woman, she can't be the manager, and or not approachable as being cranky and crabby. And I'll leave that spot right there. And the double standard that comes along with that experience, you hear it when you hear someone murmuring, well, I'm looking for the charge nurse, and you're right there at the desk, at the charge nurse's desk. But they know it just can't be you because you're a woman. That can't be you. But still, we measure up to the standard of practice in our excellence. We have been taught to be so and to do so. And that is where we shall also govern ourselves according to the way that we are expecting the outcomes for any care and service. Excellence is our power, and empowerment must be something that comes to you, through you, for you. You cannot sit back and let any other person, whether it is your manager, your leader, or a patient or a patient's family, not understand or not willing to hear that you, yes, are the charge nurse. And you, yes, will find the answers to their questions. We will never say, I don't know, because we will find the answers, as we have told the persons who are looking for the answers. But remember, empowerment is not something that comes with a magic wand. That presence and that gift is claimed. You must claim your power. And it's a decision that we have to believe in. Because someone calls you out of your name or says, well, you can't be the charge nurse. I don't believe that you are the charge nurse because you look like a dummy to me. You have to make a decision. A decision to believe in yourself. Empowerment measures come by the hard work you put into seeking to be empowered. And it's a daily decision to believe in yourself. Tell yourself each and every day, I am prepared. I am strong. I am good enough. And I am allowed and empowered to lead. It's simple. And you can change to some other affirmations that will help you feel more positive. Don't take to your sleep some of those terrible things that you've heard today from your folks in the line in the cafeteria or the new cardiologist that has come along and wants you to prepare all of the instruments and check all the phone numbers and the orders and everything so that he can come and instruct the new resident on what to do. You will be set and ready to go. And empowerment doesn't wait for us. And we know that as women and women who have children, a little probably more experiences than others, is that we don't wait. We don't wait for the answers all the time, and we don't wait to be rescued. When that teacher calls you on that phone and says, well, XXX, and we need you to do this or come to the school, we're there. We respond to the crisis. And especially if anyone we know and love is at risk or bleeding, we respond. And that's what leadership looks like. We don't wait for someone else to fix the problem. We fix it, and we go to our colleagues often to fix it. Whatever the it is, we have gone to utility rooms. This is my experience. And gotten so many rolls of Curlix for one of our particular patients who, I don't know what actually happened, but the time came to put in some particular access device, and there were no Curlix of the size that the physician wanted, and it was okay because we made it work. The nurses made it work. They went to the utility room. They used a different item that was not the exact that the physician had asked for, but it actually worked perfectly. And Dr. Jones said, wow, well, I never used that before. I didn't ever know I could use that. And I'm going to look into that as I have a couple more new med students that are coming. New things to learn and new things to build and new relationships to forge. Because for others that are coming behind us, it is so important that we lay a platform for the best care. Now, we may not all be excellent each and every time, but we are looking at the best version of who we are and what we can do to help have the best outcomes for the patient, the care provider, and the organization. Now, do you believe that anyone's going to come and want you to show them what kind of Curlix you use and what size? No, because the patient is absolutely fine and everything worked out well. So for the women here today, remember, you do not have to shrink to fit a space that was never built for you anyway. We work together. You are not the person who has to clean up every space every day, make every phone call, and check on the status of the staffing every day, go to the pharmacy, transport patients to the OR. You own the room. You own the room. And if you're maybe it's one nurse professional who is at the table of the C-suite, there's a lot of weight on that person's shoulders. But don't ever forget, you were born to be where you are today. And if no one invites you to the table, bring your own folding chair and lead anyway. We're not waiting to be invited. We also know that we have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to care for others. And every now and again, we kind of forget that, especially if there's crisis. If there's crisis at home or at the workplace. And maybe some of you remember the COVID pandemic. Who were leaders at that time on the front lines? The president of the organization? Or was it the nurses? It was the women, and it was the nurses. Nurses, case managers, aides, doctors, chaplains, eh, they were at the front lines. They led the units. They helped to manage burnout. And they often ordered supplies and offered words of wisdom and words of solace to patients when they're dying and their families weren't able to be there. There are so many ways that women lead. And this isn't just about care. This is about leading in the times of crisis. It is not a game, and it is not happy, and it is not funny. It is important that the same energy that you have, women, the same energy that leads you to the principal's office after you get that call, the same energy that leads the team through to the discussions of budget cuts and schedule changes. Those leaders, those women leaders, can help comfort their employees. Who has ever had someone advocate for them when they've had to go to the school and attend their child's IEP meeting? And those might be considered for some of you, well, what is that? Well, that's for your child who is facing some maybe outside challenges rather than having their ABCs and their homework in order. There's some problems with the focus and the completion excuse me of the person's experience. But remember, we must take action. You, as the mother, will be at your child's meetings at school and ready to be able to help join the action strategy forum. And that might not always be a happy discussion, but we care, so we'll be there taking charge of what is intended for our child. And I have been one, so I know that it was so important for me to attend the meeting, because as you find yourself in the place of maybe social workers, the principal, and maybe the school nurse, maybe not, that you are now the nurse. People don't know when you come there that you understand what words mean. What words mean. And that you will be taking part in the discussion. So it's important that we have the ability to put on our thinking caps in a kind manner and share your experience and your desire for next steps for your child, or for the child who's in a classroom that you might know of because they've seen the school nurse a number of times. You might know that little person, and you might be able to add to the discussion. So what do we do? What do we do with this power? Believe that you have the right You have the right to speak, and you have the right to lead, even when the world is wondering, well, now what? That new CEO at X hospital outside of that, powerful area? Now they have a woman CEO? But don't know if we're ready for that. We don't know if you're ready either, but you better get ready. Because as we are coming to build our case for our space in the C-suite, we will also build support systems for the patients, TS, for the nurse professionals and other health colleagues relating to staffing, self-care, and how nurses can collaborate to get to the place where we all know what to do, where best practice can flourish. If you have an expert IV starter on your unit who's a nurse, or you have an expert IV starter on your unit who actually has also completed coursework and a certification for an implanted device, each of you on your unit shall know and stand beside each other. You can help that nurse practitioner start that line and make sure that, as you would with any other provider who is starting that line, help them be encouraged and have all of the supplies that are necessary. So we have to become a model. You know, you've heard of a role model before, yes? A model in leadership. A model of leadership that your new graduates will be so excited about seeing and hearing about nursing being on the top tier of leadership. These are the things that new nurses in the centuries that we never really got to spend in classes, they're looking for an opportunity to grow, opportunity to build, an opportunity to give their time and their hearts to you and to your colleagues, to help you grow and flourish and give and share your gifts to others. And today, I hope you are ready to go, or you have at least had some thoughts about where you are today and where you shall be in becoming. And you've seen that's one of my newest favorite words. You know, I've got sharing and caring, becoming. It's our path to growth. You must be ready, because you must remember, as I say along the way, there have been many challenges in the course and the programs of nursing that have evolved over time. So today, I want you to know this, that you are not just a nurse, director, caregiver, or even teacher. You're not just an anything. We'll get rid of that word because you are a strategist. You are a stabilizer. And you are a spark for others in your collaborative areas, which could be community. And you never know when you will find a group that asks you to lead them to the next steps in their power. You are the empowered woman, and you are leading already, leading already as you've done before, even in crisis. So thank you so much. I would love to hear from some of you sooner rather than later. We'll give you through 2025. Connect with me at powerinnursing.com. You can connect by email and also through any of the social media forums. But don't take long because professional development is also a component of empowerment. And you all know what professional development is and how it's done. But also remember, how do nurses know and grow? We do it together. We do it together, and that's where we find our best outcomes. So, be well, my friends. Give us a look and come on over to powerinnursing.com, and we are still creating. We are creating forums to help nurses grow, overcome your stress and overwhelm, and find a way to live your best life. You can do it. And even as the road gets rocky sometime, today I have the pleasure of speaking to many of you. And as I tell folks, yesterday, yes, was Mother's Day, and I thought of my mother, and I spend time, as I always think about the number of women who are nurses. But as I thought about my mom, and she was always encouraging me to become a nurse and to do what I wanted to do. And by the time I was in the 11th grade, I knew I wanted to be a nurse. And the answer, someone has asked me about, well, what my mom thought. And I said, this is what my mom said. It's up to you. You make a decision so that you can make a difference. Now, you'll hear that from me. I'm going to try not to cry, but I really love the way that she helped me along the way to be who I am today. So you all be well. Be well. We've got a lot to do, but together we can. Together we can. Yes, we can. We'll see you soon. Questions and comments are always acceptable. And please share your thoughts with your friends. It's time to lead.